You're watching Mental Health with Marcie, and I'm Marcie. In today's video, we are going to talk about impulse buying, and I have a fun Hello Kitty mermaid to join us. I think she was an impulse buy. Oh no, we're starting off on an interesting note, but I want to define at least what I'm talking about when I talk about impulse buying is really something that you didn't intend to buy. And it's not something that you need. It's just something that you want to buy, and kind of without a lot of thought put behind it, you just go ahead and purchase that. And so that, if you're aware, obviously being in a store, they have those whole like impulse bays, like right at the checkout line. You pick up a candy bar, you weren't intending to buy that candy bar, but it's right there. You're waiting in line forever. That's an example of an impulse buy, in my opinion. And then also, for example, you or me might, go online and see that there is a sale on your favorite leggings, and like, oh, well, let me just buy $80 worth or whatever it may be. And it's like, did you really need those? And kind of that initial thought of like, oh, let me just buy this type of thing. And so, of course, there's all levels of impulse buying, and they can be from completely harmless, in my opinion, to very dangerous. And so I want to talk about today, is impulse buying a mental health problem? Is it something that we need to keep an eye on? Is it totally fine? You're just treating yourself. I don't know. Let's talk about it and find out. And so I'm going to talk about it from my personal experiences, impulse buying, and of course, everyone's experiences are different, and also I don't want to pretend to diagnose anyone with anything, or, call attention to something that may not be harmful for you. It's just my experiences and my opinions. So please, if you have different ones or the same, whatever you want to say or comment, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. But let's get started. Like I said, this was just a funny coincidence that this happened to be an impulse buy. I was like, oh, I don't think I've put her in a video yet. And then I just realized that she was an impulse buy. So I was just walking around Walgreens one day, and I was like, I must have this Squishmallow. Okay, I have a thing for Hello Kitties. I don't know. I don't think you can see in this video, but in my yoga videos, you can see all of my Hello Kitties on my little shelf thing behind me. I love Hello Kitties. And also, I don't really have a thing for mermaids, but she was just so cute. And she's a Squishmallow. I do have a thing for Squishmallows too. So I needed her, obviously. But when I was there, I don't even know what I was buying. I wasn't intending to buy her. And she came home with me. And so kind of there's all different levels of impulse buying, I would say, in terms of like, okay, did you buy a 69-cent candy bar? That probably don't even cost that little. They probably cost more than that. I don't know how much things cost, because I don't go to stores. But yeah, so you've got something very small, this was probably like $10 or $15, and that can really increase to different levels, right? So you might say, oh, well, I spent $80 on these leggings, or, oh, I spent $200 on all of these clothes, or I bought a $500 typewriter. I don't know why anyone would do that, or why anyone would have an impulse to buy a $500 typewriter, but it could happen to anyone. Not saying it happened to me or anything, but there's a lot of different levels. And then book a vacation for $2,000, or book plane tickets, and so there's lots of different levels, right? And I don't know necessarily that it's all cost based. That, oh, if you only spent $1, then it's totally fine. But if you spent $80 or $100, then it's not fine. I don't think that that's really the way to look at it, but there definitely are different different levels, in my opinion, of impulse buying. And so I would say I can't put, a one size fits all blanket term on, is it bad to impulse buy? Because I think it depends a lot on the situation and your reasoning behind it. But I will say something that I like to keep in mind is this an unusual purchase for me? And so maybe you on the regular buy $500 typewriters and like that's a thing that you do and it's like a part of your business, and I don't know. I don't know what you're doing with your life, but maybe that's something that you normally do, or you might normally buy a lot of workout clothes, and so yeah, maybe you spent a little extra, but it's really not that unusual for you specifically. And so that's where I feel like it really comes into play with impulse buying, and if it's dangerous or not. Is it unlike you? That's the thing that that I like to keep in mind. And so it's like, okay, you might just treat yourself. And that's the whole thing too, as well, is like, is this just treating yourself, or is this really uncharacteristic of who you are? And so I almost like don't know how to describe it, but sometimes I've just bought things and I'm like, it's not something that I would normally do. And so that's why I think I get a little red flag, or just needing to pay attention to those types of things. Like, for example, one time actually multiple times, I just like ordered Instacart, and like, which is whatever, fine. Instacart is fine. Getting your groceries delivered. But I ordered like, I don't know, like $60 or $80 of like just snack foods. I don't know why. I just did. I was like, I want them, and so I'm going to order them. And that's not something I normally do. And so I think to me, that is really the crux of it. Is not so much, okay, well, I only spent $5, so it's not that big of a deal. But it's like, what if you're, spending $5 every day on a latte? And maybe that is what you normally do. And so it's not of concern, but maybe it is something that's outside of your normal routine. And so that's where I like to bring attention to that. And then especially talk to my therapist about it. I won't, again, say that all impulse spending is bad, or that you can't treat yourself or anything like that. But I just have noticed in my experience that spending can be a real identifier of how my mental health is going. And so if I am finding myself buying random things, maybe I go on Amazon, buy some more hair products, or some moisturizer, or some mascara, or things like that, it can be a sign that I'm not exactly okay. And that could be for various reasons. Shopping can be a coping mechanism, to kind of, what they say, retail therapy. I know I can't do the other air quotes. There we go. Retail therapy, trying to kind of cope and make yourself feel better about something that might be going on, could be depression, isolation, being overwhelmed with anxiety. I can control ordering this hair mask or whatever it might be. Of course, everyone's situations are different and why they shop. But for me, another thing that I have to keep in mind is just because overly spending or uncharacteristic spending can be a sign of different mental health conditions. And so it's, again, always something that you want to talk with your mental health professionals, your therapist, psychiatrist, etc., about, the situation for you specifically. But I know for me, if I start kind of spending uncharacteristically, it's just something that I want to keep in mind and think about, is there something else going on? Is there something outside of the norm? Is there a medication change? Maybe there's a side effect from a medication. Maybe there's something else going on in my life that's causing me to spend more than normal. And so for me, it's not so much of a judgment of like, oh, it's bad if you buy something. Because like, I love shopping. I do. And probably for various reasons, a lot of them being coping mechanisms. But I just find when I just feel like, unlike myself, like I wouldn't normally buy this. Not necessarily so much as like, oh, I feel guilty, like I don't need this, but it's just like this isn't something I normally would do. That's when I feel like it's just something to be aware of, because I always try to be aware of different mental health like changes. And so it's like, there's, for everyone it's different. Like maybe you always buy this certain thing, or you always do these certain traits or things like that. And so it's not so much, the specific traits that you want to keep an eye on, but more so, is this something that is normally like you, or is it out of the norm? And that's something I like to track and keep track of with my therapist and mental health professionals. So anyway, I can't say like all impulse buying is bad. I will say that once you get to like a certain level of, if your impulse buying is causing like other negative impacts in your life, then that can be a little bit problematic. For example, getting in a ton of debt, having troubles like with relationships, hiding, spending money with partners, or other things like that. Impulse buying can definitely get you in a lot of trouble, in your life. And so it's always good, I think, to talk about it with your mental health professionals. And even if it's something small, like I said, even if it's ordering $60 of snacks, if it's not like you, I'm not saying that everything is going to be a mental health symptom, but it's just something to keep an eye on. If you start to act a lot not like yourself, then, there could be something else going on, or just something that you want to keep an eye on, with your mental health professionals. So hopefully this was helpful. Do you impulse buy? Have you found that it's been detrimental at all to your mental health, to your life, or have you been able to kind of just like keep it okay and really just keep it on the treating yourself level? Let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and stay well, my friends.